Hi all. Right, welcome back. Enemy Action Kharkov. German Solo. Part 3. Yeah, part 3. Move that bit off this squashed in here. Right, okay, yeah, I've been watching back in part 2 and I'm kind of scared to throw it out there. It's quite a long episode, wasn't it? Well, I'm saying, wasn't it? As if maybe you haven't seen it. But I suppose if you're watching this one, you might have watched it. Once I do put it out there, I'd like to look it back. I'm just a bit. There's not an awful lot that happens, really, is there? Not an awful lot. But it just feels, because it's all different, I want to make sure I'm not doing things wrong, but I don't know. I feel this again is maybe it's something I should have had again myself, Maybe that's what I should have done. Should have finished the recording, Soviet Solo, set this up myself, not put the camera on, and just played away with it a bit to understand it. That would have been probably more sensible, wouldn't it? But well, like I've said, I find it a little strange now when if I'm ever playing any game, and I'm not sort of yakking away at a camera now. So this becomes a bit of a habit. Okay, and yeah, and an error's already been pointed out to me. I mean, I can't even get it right looking at the diagrams, the setup diagrams. Both Martin and Michael have he confirmed as well that he believed I missed. Man, I did. I think I've read it. The way I've went through it, I missed that box altogether. And we're talking about set-up adjustment diagrams on page 50, and we rolled an 8, I think it was, but it was Vornes front breakout. And 1, 2, 3, it's the fourth step down is remove one step each from the 3 Soviet units shown. And they've got a wee blue sort of circle with a sort of arrow in it to say flip it over. I mean, I was wondering what it was at first. And there's 4 of the units marked. 3 of them are Soviet, and one of them is one of ours. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how I missed that one, but let's hope that's not a bad sign. It was this unit 100, and he wants a replacement for that 100. So not quite sure how I managed to miss it. Thought I was going through things carefully there, but so. I mean, all it would have been doing was making things harder for me, I suppose. As time went on, he would have had 3 steps instead of what she should have had 2. But thanks for spotting it out, for bringing it up, guys, and spotting it, because, yeah, that's not what we want to start. I think that it's going to be hard enough for me. See how I struggled with my Soviet Solo, so probably going to need all the help I can get. Yeah, so I haven't quite finalised part 2 yet, and just looking it over. Like I say, try to be careful about looking it over. I was thinking back, I did get to the part where I was talking about this unit not being a lead unit, and wondering why that might be. Well, I guess I was just thinking about it. The fact that he still joined the attack meant that it meant some other unit was joining was starting the battle, and he was joining in. I think it could be because you could get a case where he could be the lead unit and maybe be the only unit that was involved in the attack, and the attack check then come back confirmed, and then he would go for the attack, and let's just say things went horribly wrong, and he took 2 step losses because he was only fighting the battle himself, and then he's dead, and then this victory point hex is exposed. So I think maybe that's why you can't consider. And remember, if it was less than 2 steps, wasn't it? So it's taking a chance with 3 steps. It's kind of accepting the fact, look, you're not going to take 3 hits in this attack. I think that's maybe what it could be down to, but I could be wrong. If anybody else wants to chime in and suggest it's for another reason, that unit can't be the lead unit, then by all means. Okay, I was just checking something up there. I've been reading a bit more of the rules today again, and to be honest, like, reading through the rules again isn't really going to help that much. I need to play the game and go through these. I mean, the big bit is these movement methods that the Soviets are going to move by. So anyway, I was looking through them. However, the copy I've got, they haven't released the solo rules and their final. The final copies of those solo rules yet. So I've still got that sort of beta copy that I had of the rules that I managed to get hold of. And I was reading over something, I was a bit confused by it, and the reason being is they must have changed something slightly. So it was about the certain movement methods that it says does not move, does not move by this or any subsequent method. So it's basically saying it's not going to move. But then in brackets it's got except as directed by 9.25. Of course, when I looked up 9.25 in the rules I was looking at, it didn't really mention this. It only mentioned, now if you look at 9.25 on page 21, tactical preferences when moving adjacent to German units. Well, the situation I've just described to you, the unit's not moving adjacent. But fortunately, and that's why I was confused, I thought, because this must apply, because it's linking you to 9.25. But fortunately, it does give the second bullet. Well, the first bullet says apply to all moves, and it's got all highlighted in bold, all moves in which a Soviet unit would end its move in a hex adjacent to a German unit. And the second bullet is the one that matters, and it wasn't in the rules that I had. Apply to movement methods that calls for a Soviet unit starting adjacent to a German unit to not move. And that's what the method I read out to you there. It was regarding movement method 2 of 9.21. And it was moved to a hex closer to or within 4 hexes of the unit's objective. But the last part of it, and I didn't read through these maybe, and I maybe should have, because the last part is a Soviet unit starting adjacent to a German VP hex within 4 hexes of the objective marker and unable to move to a more preferred VP hex. So obviously it would maybe move to a higher preference VP hex. Does not move by this or any subsequent method. And then, like I say, it's got in brackets, except as directed by 9.25. Well, 9.25 is going to, well, here it's here, when ending a move adjacent to a German unit, prefer. Now that's all it says, when ending a move. So my assumption with that is that also counts for the movement methods that says does not move. So it's still considered it may alter its move with this. So it says, when ending a move adjacent to a German unit, prefer a hex within the current Soviet operational limit, a hex that would cause the German unit to be surrounded, C, a hex in the Soviet support, D, a hex not adjacent to a Soviet unit, E, an empty or garrisoned hex, and F, a hex not occupied by an active unit. So it gives you some examples in here. There's a well worth looking at. I'm going to look over this as well. This means that if a move by a given movement method would end in a hex adjacent to a German unit, then apply the tactical adjustments of 9.25, even if those adjustments result in the move shifting to an end hex not conforming to the tiebreakers, preferences or requirements of the movement method. So that's that's a rule breaker, so we're going to have to watch that. It says, make sure, however, that the unit's move conforms to the rules for the movement and restrictions of 9.23. So this is something similar that did apply in Ardennes as well. But this was a bit that confused me, because it always said applies to all moves in which the unit would end its move adjacent. Well, that, according to what I'm reading there, feels like also if it does not move by this or any subsequent method, it can still be directed by 9.25. And what we're talking about here is what movement method? Adjacent to German VP hex and near objective. So what have we got? Here's a Soviet unit here adjacent to a German VP hex, right? So he's probably, let's just say he's not going to move with that method. He's going to look through it. He can't find a better hex. He's not going to move by it. We still look at 9.25, and if he could then move, let's just say a hex within the current Soviet operational limit at the time, and maybe that was like in here or something, then he would then make that move to tactically, well, it's saying tactical preferences when moving adjacent to German unit. See, there it says when moving adjacent. That can throw you, but it does. The second bullet says applies to movement methods that calls for a Soviet unit starting adjacent to a German unit to not move. So that's where it says it there, and I'm glad that's written there, because, like I say, the rules I've got, some of these bits are missing, and that was kind of throwing me a bit. Right. Okay. Right. Well, where was I? Well, we might as well just carry on, and we'll see if I eventually get through that second part and decide to upload it for you to have a look. So we were, well, what happened was, this was the auxiliary card, and now it didn't get used at all as an event or a combat tactic, so it now becomes a command card, and then we have another Soviet impulse using this card. So great, isn't it? Not so. It's Popov as well. Okay, so well, let's do it then. Let's carry on. So from 6+, well, we're not there yet. He would have assigned a replacement point. And the next command is activate all units in group. Okay. Okay. It says group rather than I thought it was Popov missing there, but this one just says activate all units in army. So that, yeah. And Popov are considered an army. It's just that's their name, I guess. But they are considered an army. Okay, so we're going to activate them. So this should be fun. They're probably one of the strongest. Well, third tank and Popov, obviously. Now they are the spearhead army, so we need to watch for that. But so okay, so activating mobile group Popov. First thing we do is check the objective marker again. Well, it's back here. Again, there's not a active front unit proximate to this hex, so there's not anybody from. Well, actually, sorry, that's wrong. It's inactive or active. It's got to be somebody from the southwest front that's proximate to it. It can't be from Voronezh front. So there's not a unit proximate to it, and there's not a unit in it, and there's not a German unit in it, and we would be proximate to. Is that right? Oh no, or is adjacent to German occupied markers hex. Yeah. So it's not that it's proximate. There's no. If there was a German unit in here and we had a unit adjacent, we would be moving this. If there was a southwest front unit in there, actually that's wrong. I think it's if any unit is in there, then we would be moving that front marker. And the other one is there a unit proximate? Right, I'm going to check that actually, because that feels does it have to be if any active or inactive unit in the active Soviet front occupies the objective hex or occupies the hex adjacent to a German unit occupying the objective hex, or is it does have to be a unit from the front that would have to be occupying it, adjacent to a German unit in it, or proximate to it. Yeah, okay. So there's none of that. So it stays where it is. It's not going to move, right? So let's move on. I'm going to try and just use the play area a bit, because okay, so that's that. So now we're going to look at movement, and so it's 9.2 9.2, because the objective marker's on play. Right, so step one is take a VP hex. So enter a empty German town or city. Right, we can't do any of that. Let's go up here a bit more. There's not. I mean, the closest one that's unoccupied is Kramatorsk here. The Popov units, there's not one. The 3rd Corps are on the way in the 40 Corps. So we can't do that. So let's move on, right? Step 2 is adjacent to German VP hex and near objective. Right, that could possibly happen. Adjacent to German VP hex and near objective. Move to a hex closer to or within 4 hexes of the front objective and adjacent to German VP hex. Well, we're not going to get within 4 of the objective because that's a way back here. So, but we can still, this move can still happen if any of these units can move closer to the objective and be adjacent to German VPX. And I'm looking at this one, possibly this one, Slavansk, possibly. So how are we looking at this? In ascending order, right? What have we got? We've got number 1 across here. 1, 6, 9, 3, 8, 7. Is that everybody? Oh, and I have to say there is two reserve units, so they're active units as well in the reserve units box. Okay, so unit 1 first, right? Is it able to get closer to its objective marker, which is down here, and move adjacent to a German VP hex? Well, I doubt it, but yeah, because we've got this wood stuff in the way. I don't think he's going to be able to get down this head. He's going to have to back up to start with. Yeah. If it's no dogs, it's sirens, eh? I'm not set up in the right area here. Well, I suppose the dogs, they're there, aren't they? Yeah, so he would have to back up into this hex first. It's broken, he's breaking zone of control, so it's going to be 3 movement right away to get him into there. He could move back into here, but that doesn't get him adjacent to a German VP hex. Even though it probably is 1 hex closer to his objective, he needs to be moving adjacent to German VP hex. So, yeah, I'm going to say he cannot do that. So next unit would be unit 3, which is up here. Yeah, it's kind of, the terrain's a bit tight up there, isn't it? Beside the river, it's just woods right down the side of the river. However, he would be able to cross into this hex and be adjacent to Slavansk. And my guess is that would be, no, it might not be actually. Let's have a look. No, because the objective marker is slightly that way, moving into this hex is the same distance, so it's not getting closer there. Oh, you can move into this one though, Grant. And that would surely be closer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, that's 1 hex closer in there. And would be adjacent. So let's just double check that. Move to hex closer to or within 4 hexes of front objective. But we're not within 4 hexes, so we should just kind of ignore that bit and just look at move to a hex closer to front objective and adjacent to German VP hex. And then there's preferences, obviously, but I don't think we can get anywhere else, can we? No. It does look like now his movement into that is he's crossing the Donets River, so that is a +2. And he's moving into woods, so it would be 5 movement for him to move into there. But I believe he will do that. He's 1 hex closer to his army objective, his front objective, and he's adjacent to German VP hex. Yeah, okay, and no restrictions broken there, I don't think. Now, but here's where we need to also just look at, it's 9.25 on this. Yeah, it is on the period. So the preferences are it says applies to all moves ending adjacent to German unit and supersedes movement method preferences. Prefer a hex within what is it? Something limit. I don't think that kicks in till later in the game, does it? What is it again? Soviet operational limit. Yeah, when does that? That's later in the game that comes in, isn't it? Wait till I check that. I was kind of struggling to find that. It was maybe because it says Soviet operational limit. So on page 26, 9.8. Design note: the Soviet operational limit guides Soviet response in the late game to protect objectives achieved, the far limit, or to fall back under German counter-thrusts, the near limit, while also allowing Soviet counter-attack when the situation gets desperate. So when units become subject. At the start of the game, no Soviet units are subject to the operational limit. Later in the game, when the Soviet front's objective marker is removed, all units at that front immediately become subject to the Soviet operational limit. Right, okay. As long as the front objective is on the map, the units of that front are not subject to the operational limit regardless of Soviet VP level. Okay, so that bit that prefers... right, where was I? What was something for 9.25? Yeah. So the first preference of 9.25 is a hex within the current Soviet operational limit. So that, well, my understanding of that is that's any hex at the moment. So we're skipping on by that. But obviously as the game moves on, then that's going to be something that you might be able to hit instead of another hex. It's not in the limit. So B as a hex, it would cause the German unit to become surrounded. So, you know, you can see there that if this unit could reach this hex or this hex round here and surround that unit, that's what he would do. And then C as a hex in Soviet support. Well, all hexes are in Soviet support at the moment, but again, he might adjust. It used to be called, I thought it was tactical adjustments when you're moving adjacent, but that's kind of what it is. It's a bit like the 10.54 rule in the Soviet Soul, isn't it? Moving adjacent to Soviet units. Yeah, okay, well let's not confuse things for that. Okay. And then what is the next one? A hex not adjacent to a Soviet unit, so I'd prefer, you know, a hex that wasn't adjacent to a Soviet unit, obviously. And then an empty or garrisoned hex. But again, this isn't an empty hex, so I would prefer that hex over that hex, for instance. But I didn't have the movement or the ability to reach that hex, even if I did. And then the last one is a hex not occupied by an active unit. Well, the unit underneath is not an active unit, so that would be alright there. However, this guy can only reach this one hex at this moment. But we need to keep that in mind, because as the game goes on, that'll come into it quite a lot. We'll need to decide, you know, where's the best hex. But also good to know that overrides what I've just done there. So as long as at end, I've still got to be adjacent to the German unit. Now, there's a thing. I mean, do I still need to be nearer the objective? Because it does say when in they move adjacent. Right, hang on. Yeah, it says this means that if a move by a given movement method would end in a hex adjacent to a German unit, then apply tactical adjustments of 9.25. Even if those adjustments result in the move shifting to an end hex not conforming to the tiebreakers, preferences, or requirements of the movement method. Well, I would say adjacent to German VP hex and nearer objective is a requirement. So that's actually saying that I could break the requirements and you could end up making that move and still end up being adjacent to that unit and not being nearer I think you've still got to be adjacent to the VP hex, because yeah, you do, because that's part of what you're trying to do here, isn't it? Yeah. But it sounds like you could override the fact that it's now not going to be closer to its front objective. Okay, right. Enough of that bit then. Yeah, 25 minutes gone. Well, this will just be a part in itself, me going through this pop-off activation. I'm sure it'll be long enough. I bet we'll be at an hour before you know it. Right, okay, so that's unit 3, that's what he can do. So who would be next? 6. Ooh, he's got 3 steps, he's got 2 steps, so we've not got any space. Well, we've got space for one more step in there, but there's not many of them about. No, there's not many one-steppers lying about. So unit 6, I don't think he's going to be able to, is he? Because, yeah, he can't go, and he would, no, actually, no, because he's not moving closer there, is he? I don't think so. No, and he can't get down to this one. So, and they're the only 2 options for them. So, yeah, unit 6 isn't going to be able to do it. That's 9 underneath. Unit 7 is here. Now here's the situation then. Well, it's not really, is it? Because he's kind of tied in here. He's got German units either side of him. Yeah, in fact, he's surrounded. Yeah, he's surrounded. He can't move at all anyway. And within this move, because he's already adjacent, this says if start. I prefer to read this at the rule book. What the right bit? No. A Soviet unit starting adjacent to a German VP hex within. Why is it saying that? Okay, that's not relevant. If a Soviet unit starting adjacent to a German VP hex within 4 hexes of the objective marker. Alright, well that's slightly different from the actual instruction to start with then, isn't it? Right, okay. So he is starting adjacent, but he's not within 4 hexes of the. So that doesn't apply actually. Anyway, if that did apply, he would try, and he couldn't reach a preferential VP. Preferential hex round that unit. Then he would look at 9.25 and maybe be directed to a different hex as well. But he's not within 4. Yeah, okay. So, right, so he's not going to do anything. And then Unit 8's going to be the same. Because they can't move anyway then. Can't get closer, they're already adjacent. So, and then Unit 9 is the one under here, and he's the same as Unit 6. So he cannot get adjacent to a German VP hex and get closer to his army objective. Right, okay, that's that movement method checked. Movement method 3 is open supply line, but as we know, that's from turn 3. No, like I say, it's not marked on the player aid there, but that's fine. Right, methods 49, spearhead excluded. So on turns 1 and 2, which we're on, all spearhead units skip 4 to 9 unless they're in a town or city. So do we have any pop-off units in a town or city? No, I don't think we do we? No. So none of them are in a town or city, so we're going to skip 4 till 9. So that's going to make it a bit easier for us. Yeah, okay, we are indeed going to skip by them. So right on this movement method 10, and there's only 12 in total, so we've got 10 of them, 12. 10 is follow movement arrows, but you've got to spend all your movement points, so unlikely. Again, this is ascending order. Well, his arrow's that way, he can't move. These guys would be able to move one hex into there. So that's not using up all their movement. This guy can't move, even if he was looking at secondary arrow, he can't move. And same again, this guy can't move. So that's out the window. So step 11 in ascending order, closest to front objective. Move to a hex closer to front objective. So did I not say... No, that, because that's not closer, is it? I was going to say that unit can get in here, can't he? Unit 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then there, it's just the same, isn't it? 1, 2. Yeah, it's clearly the same, Grant, because you're counting that hex as the starting hex. So, yeah, he can't get closer. However, unit 6 and 9 will be able to. Right, so 6 would be first. But you know what? 7 and 8 cannot get closer to there. They cannot. They're locked in. Well, I'd said this guy's surrounded, and actually this guy's surrounded too. Yeah, so they're both surrounded anyway. So, but unit 6 and then unit 9 also can move into this hex, which is going to be one. That is going to be one hex closer. So I think that's what they're going to do. Yeah, because they can't. There's not another option. They can't get in here, for instance, because yeah. So they're actually both going to move into there and satisfy movement method 11 as a one hex closer to their front objective. There is preferences there, but as you can see, actually, hang on. Yeah, actually they do have one option, and that's to join this one. Because they're 10 away there. If they move into there, they're 9 away. If they move into there, they're 9 away. If they move into there, they're 9 away. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I thought I'd miscounted that. That's right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh god, they can go quite far actually. They can actually probably go there, or maybe even 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, they can go quite far along then. Right. We need to look at preferences then. See, that's the little things like that that can catch you. And I'm sure some of them are going to catch me, but well. Yeah, well, you will insist on trying to play the game without having a wee practice session yourself, Grant, so it's your own fault, probably. Okay, so what are the preferences to that action then? Let's look at it in the rulebook. Make sure we've got it right. That's movement method 11, isn't it? Move closest to... That's what that said in the player aid? It does actually say closest. So move to a hex closer to the unit's front objective, not the same distance from the objective. And then the preferential hex is the closest to the front objective. Well, like I've said, and let's just say we're looking at unit 6 first here. All these hexes here are the same distance. We can't break it down to 8, I don't think. 8 hexes. Yeah, I've actually just realised, I'm sure you noticed, I can't get further along. Because this Rouse unit's going to block this hex. So I can get into here, here, or here. And all the 3 hexes are 9 hexes away, and this is 10 hexes away. So that's the best we can achieve. So what's the next preference then? Because they're all the same distance. The next preference is adjacent to German occupied hex with the least strength. So if it goes here is adjacent to that, if it goes here is adjacent to that, if it goes here is adjacent to that. So they're all tied for 3 strength. So and then the final preference is empty hex. So that means he's not going to go here, and he will either go here or here. Now I'm afraid I need another tiebreaker. So do we have tiebreakers in this as well? Because that's the last preference I'm getting, empty hex. Right, there must be some. Here we go. 9.24 tiebreakers. I'd like to see it in the rule book. No. Pause, Grant. Pause. Sorry. Right, here we go. Yeah, 9.24 on page 21. Movement method tiebreakers. If more than one destination hex meets the requirements and preferences of a given movement method, prefer A, closest to the unit's objective marker if in play. Well, we've said that these two hexes are the same distance away. Okay. B, an empty hex. Well, that's already been broken down for us as well. C, the hex furthest in the compass direction indicated on the objective marker if in play. The hex furthest. Okay, so the hex furthest. Right, where is. Because we're all turned upside down now, aren't we? What is the compass direction? I wish they had it on the map somewhere. They don't, do they? Just a wee compass on the map, guys. No, I don't think so. I don't think there is. I looked a bit in the last game, but couldn't see it. Okay, so... Yeah, there's not even anything saying east or north, is there? Is there anything? No. Maybe there is, I'm just not seeing it. Okay, well, what I say, we had the east, that must be the east, So that means that's north, west, and then south down here. Is that right? I better just double check this. Right, yeah, I wish there was some kind of wee indication on the map. You would have thought. You know, the fact you're going to play two different games and they're going to turn over and... Yeah, okay. Stop, Grant, stop. It had to be there though, didn't it? It had to be. You just felt like, come on guys, just a wee compass. Although it's a bit... maybe not the easiest to see. There, it's there. Okay, so my guess is there must be one on the Soviet solar map as well. So, okay, sorry guys, sorry, you've got it right. I'll take that back. So east is that way, and west, and south, and then north. Right, okay, that's fine. I figured there must have been something. Right, well, you found it, Grant, so calm down. So the front objective is shown west, right? Now these can be different. There is on the back of this probably something else. Yeah, south. But the one that was selected was west. When we go to move this, we'll roll a dice and I'll move somewhere else, but it might actually change to south as well. It could change south or west. So, right. So I forgot where I was now. Yeah, so it was the hex that was... So we're looking furthest west then, aren't we? The hex furthest in the compass direction indicated the objective marker. So the hex furthest west. So west is down the way. So what are we talking? We're talking about moving this unit. We can move them to here or here. Well, this one's slightly further west. So there you go. There's unit 6 is going to move into there then. And that was when movement method, was it 11 or something? Was it 11? Yeah. Move closest to front objective. Yeah, and we couldn't break it down anymore. Right, okay. So he's moved to there. So this other guy can join. Now, he can also reach these three hexes. However, he's going to go to the empty hex, isn't he? So closest two, they're all the same. Adjacent to German, occupied with a least strength, they're all the same. Empty hex. So he's actually going to go 1, 2 into there then. And from there, you sure that was closer, Grant? Yeah, it is indeed. That was 10 hexes from there to the objective. Go zoomed out a bit, I'll let you see. I suppose it's directly in line with it. So it was 10 hexes from there, and then 9 hexes straight down from there. And that's an empty hex, so that's where he wants to go. Okay, good. Right, so we've got still There's still 3 units that haven't moved, but we know these are surrounded, so are not going to move. But unit 1, probably not. So the last movement method, strengthen potential attack. If not adjacent to a German unit, well, can we just stop there then, probably. Move to a hex adjacent to a German unit to which another active Soviet unit is also adjacent. A unit starting adjacent to a German unit does not move by this method. Now, see when that says does not move by this method there, it does not have in brackets except as directed by 9.25. So why is that? Why is step movement method 2 got that, and movement method 6 has that, and 7 and 8? Why does 12 not have that? Read it then, Grant. Maybe I'll just explain it. If not adjacent to a German unit, move to a hex adjacent to a German unit to which another active Soviet unit is also adjacent. A unit starting adjacent to a German unit does not move by this method. Why doesn't he try and adjust the 9.25 then? Right, somebody wants to give me the answer to that one. Feel free. Just all the other ones. I mean, right, 2 says does not move by this or any subsequent method. What were the other ones I said? 6 says does not move by this or any subsequent method. 7 says does not move by this or any subsequent method. 8, yeah, that's exactly the same wording it's using. Whereas the wording on that is does not move by this method, suggesting it can move by a subsequent method. Right. Well, I need to watch that as well because okay, let's see. Okay, I'm not quite sure why that one's worded different, so can't quite work that one out, but if somebody wants to enlighten me. If not, we're just going to push on because it's not going to matter. So, yeah, so he's not, well, basically, yeah, I mean, it says a unit starting adjacent to a German unit does not move by this method. I suppose it could move by that, but this is the last method you're checking, so I don't know. Okay. Right. See, we should have still checked. We should have checked these two guys with that 9.25 though, shouldn't we? We should have done. Okay. I'm going to rewind this again slightly. Slightly? Well, yeah, I'm going to rewind it. Okay, and I'm just going to step back again to look at this one because I've sort of seen something that I'm curious about. Who would have thought? Nothing simple, Grant, is there? Are you? So what method was it? Oh God, I can't remember now. Was it 11? Yeah. Move closest to front objective. Okay. Move to hex closer to the unit's front objective, not the same distance from the objective. Right. And we're looking at unit 6 here because it's in ascending order. And then the preferences are closest to the front objective. We've got 3 possible hexes. They're 1 hex closer. They're all the same distance, so they're all 9 hexes. He's sitting in a hex that's 10 hexes away. Right. So any one of the 3. B. Adjacent to German occupied hex with least strength. Now if he goes in here, here or here, he's going to, it's exactly the same. He's moving adjacent to a 3 strength German unit. Okay, move on. Empty hex. So that means these 2, right? And then when I looked at the tiebreakers, this one's slightly further west. So I moved this guy here, right? Now, he's moving adjacent to a German unit. So we look at 9.25, right? Tactical preferences when moving adjacent to German units. Apply to all moves in which a Soviet unit would end its move in a hex adjacent to a German unit. So this applies, right? So we need to look at this, and we also need to remember that that what it says at the very bottom, this means that if a move by a given movement method would end in a hex adjacent to a German unit, then apply the tactical adjustments of 9.25, even if those adjustments result in the move shifting to an end hex not conforming to the tiebreaker's preferences or requirements of the movement method. Make sure, however, that the unit's move conforms to the rules for movement and the restrictions of 9.23. So, okay, so I moved them to there. That was with the preferences and tiebreakers, okay? However, looking at 9.25, right? I might have this wrong, but it looks to me like maybe not. Well, actually, in the next, no, it wouldn't then. Okay, I'm maybe not finding this. I'll show you what I was talking about though. So the preferences are, when ending a move adjacent to a German unit, prefer a hex within the current Soviet operational limit. Right, they're all in operational limit, ignore that one. A hex that would cause a German unit to become surrounded. Well, any one of these three hexes is not surrounding any German unit. Is that right? Yeah. It's not. These two German units have an out hex into here, and it doesn't matter where I place that, it's not going to change that. Okay. A hex in Soviet support. All hexes in Soviet support. Right, but this is the one I thought might have applied, but I'm looking at it now and thinking maybe not. A hex not adjacent to a Soviet unit. Okay? So I was forgetting that this guy was still going to be here, but just imagine he's not there. Then it wouldn't move to here because it'd be adjacent to Soviet unit, and it wouldn't move to here because it's adjacent to Soviet unit, but it would move to there because it's not adjacent to Soviet unit. That's where I actually thought it was maybe going to go to, but if I move it to there, it's adjacent to that. So, okay, so all three of the options are indeed going to be adjacent to a Soviet unit. So, okay, we need to break it down even further. Fair enough. I thought I was going to change it. An empty or garrisoned hex. Well, these two are empty. A hex not occupied by an active unit. Well, this is an active unit. And when it says active unit, yeah, because we're only moving still. So all the units, even though these are tilted, they're still active units because they're not finished yet. Okay, so there's nothing that we can do to change it there. It comes right down to the last preference. Hex not occupied by an active unit. That would be this hex or this hex. And we've already tie-breaked it to there. So fair enough, that guy goes there. And then the other guy is going to look empty hex. And just double checking them again. Operational limit. Become surrounded, no. Hex in Soviet support, yeah. A hex not adjacent to a Soviet unit, yeah. Every one of these three hexes is going to be adjacent to a Soviet unit as well, isn't it? So actually, this is where he's moved to, and we're just checking 9.25. An empty or garrison hex, well, yeah, he's going in an empty hex. A hex not occupied by an active unit, yeah, okay. So they are actually going to go there. But I think you see what I was saying. If there was only one unit in there, right? Just I'll take this guy away a minute. This is the only guy in there. He's got three hexes that are closer. He's got two empty hexes. He tie breaks it to this hex. We move him to there. We then look at 9.25, and it says one of the preferences is not adjacent to a Soviet unit. And I think, okay, well that's adjacent to a Soviet unit. That's adjacent to a Soviet unit. That's not though. So I think he would then adjust himself to go in that hex. Tell me if I'm wrong though, but anyway, it didn't matter in that case because we had the extra unit sitting in there at the time. Okay, Grant. You go on a bit, don't you? Well, right. So where was I now then? Yeah, I'm not awful sure how I ended up backtracking to look at that. I think that was method 11, 12. Yeah, it's when I was looking at 12, wasn't it? I was a bit confused. A unit, yeah, because it says a unit starting adjacent to a German unit does not move by this method. So that means each one of these three that haven't moved yet are not going to move. That's not yeah, that's a first guards guy. Right. Okay, so that's all our movement done. That's as much as we can do movement wise. So where do we go now then? Right. I'll still try to work my way around to what's the best bit to look at here. I think I want to find that. Yeah, Soviet unit activations. So that's us done our movement. So now we're going to conduct attack checks. 9.4 it is, right, okay. I'll eventually start remembering where these are, and then hopefully then just transfer over to the player aids and make it a bit easier. Okay, Soviet attack checks. In ascending order, we want a lead unit. Okay, so unit 1, I remember that one a bit of if you'd been in the VP hex, so I'm glad that's actually came up, because I might not have sort of an active unit can't be the lead unit if it already attacked in this activation or is dispersed out of supply or isolated. Furthermore, if the target is supplied, the active unit can't be lead unit if it has just one step or is in a VP hex occupied by less than 3 steps. Okay. So unit 1, we're not going to get any lower than that. He is not restricted to becoming a lead unit, so he is going to do that. Now, this is a wee bit tricky when it looks like these units have done something. In this game, you've got to kind of do it differently. Whether I could mark the unit with something rather than tilt it and then tilt it. But I think I know where I'm at. You know, all these units have moved. You know, we're now moving into the combat side of things. So it's not that this unit can't do anything. They're still active. So I should be able to track things there. Okay, so unit 1, right, it's got 2 different units you can check. Okay. Yeah, okay, so I was wondering who he checks, because there's 2 units. Page 24, 9.41, multiple attack units. If a Soviet lead unit is adjacent to more than one German occupied hex, separately determine all the potential participating units against each potential target and calculate situational strength ratios for this lead unit against each target. Then conduct one attack check for this lead unit only against the target with the highest rounded ratio. If ratios are tied, prefer a VP hex. A, a VP hex, B, westernmost hex, C, highest hex number. Okay, so we're going to break that down, but we need to check it for both. So we're checking his strength, and right, let's check this guy first, because he's towards the south, north, yeah, it's north that way. So and we're checking all other active units are not attacked, so that's going to be 9, yeah? So we're checking 9 there. However, all active Soviet reserve units that could legally be placed in hexes adjacent to the target hex, per the placement requirements 12.2, in ascending order, if there are more reserve units that could be placed, include reserve units in ascending numerical order. Do not actually place any reserve units at this time. Okay, 12.2, that's it. Right, so 12.2, place the reserve unit if at the moment of the check the attack is not overwhelming and a placement hex meets all the following requirements. Right, we need to get these things right though, but hopefully they'll get a bit smoother as time goes on. Right, all the following requirements. The hex is adjacent to the hex under attack. Well, we're looking at, we've got a selector number 4 and a 5. He's 2 steps. There's the 4. Well, I'll just put them. Well, in fact, I'll put them both up there just so we can have a look. Well, I'll need to zoom out a little bit too. Right. So unit 4. Now, let's just say, could he go in there? Well, he wouldn't be overstacking the hex, which I'm sure is going to be a requirement too. The hex is adjacent to the hex under attack. Yes, he could possibly go here, or here, to be honest, right? Soviet reserve supply can be traced to the hex. Yes, because that's a Soviet map edge, and they would just be able to trace onto that. Well, that's actually adjacent to the map. That's that. So yes. A unit in the same front, other than a reserve placed in this attack, is in or proximate to the hex. Proximate? What? A unit in the same front, other than a reserve placed in this attack, is in or proximate to the hex. Okay. A unit in the same front. Right, I don't see that being a problem. I'm struggling to grasp that one, but it must be there for a reason. A unit in the same front other than a reserve placed in this attack. So we'll not place any reserves yet. And remember, this is just to check, because I need to do this check, because all we're doing is a Soviet attack check here, 9.4. All active Soviet reserve units that could legally be placed in the hexes adjacent to the target hex, per the placement requirements of 12.2. So I need to check that it's legal for these guys to be placed. I'm not actually placing them yet, but yeah, that seems like that's legal as well. Placement of the unit in the hex would not violate stacking limits. Like I've said, now this has got 4 steps in it, so we couldn't be placing this unit because he's got 3 steps. So he couldn't be going in there, for instance. But to be honest, one could go in here, one could go in there. So they can both support the attack on this unit here. Just by going into these 2 hexes. Or the 2-step one could go in there and the 3-step one could, yeah, whatever. We can get them in there. Well, up to now, that's the 4th bullet. The 5th one is, the hex is within the operational limits for the active front and is not a German town or city. Well, no, and the operational limits aren't active yet. And then, if the objective marker for the active front has been removed, the hex is in Soviet support. Right, it's not been removed. So, well, I don't need to look at qualifying hexes. I just need to know that we are counting 10 more strength here. That's what I need to count. Okay? Because they could be deployed legally. Okay. And that is the attack on this unit here. Okay? Now, I'm going to leave them there because we're probably going to have to check on the attack on this unit, which, to be honest, yeah, it's maybe kind of obvious that this one's going to have more strength against it, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Well, maybe these things will come a bit, like I say. Let's just go through it slowly, though. So that, yeah, so we count the strength of them, and then if the auxiliary card, there's no auxiliary card that shows assault coordination, then we would consider, and that's where we would consider these units. We would be looking at their strength as well, because they're adjacent and not active. Okay, once a group of units eligible for potential attack has been identified, calculate the situational strength. Right, so, well, what is this guy situationally? He gets a +1 for being adjacent to a supplied German unit. And, well, that's it. He's getting a +1. So he's got 4. And we've got 6, 9, and then 10. So 19 to 4 as 4 to 1, isn't it? 16, yeah. So 4 to 1. So I'm just going to, going to put a 4 on top of that. So we've got 4 to 1 odds on that guy. And it was 19 to, what did I say? 19 to 4, wasn't it? So what's it going to be on this guy? I'm sure you can speed it up a little bit, Grant. These are going to be able to come in. This is going to be 6, 10, 14. Plus 10 is 24. So it's going to be 20. He's going to get a +1 as well. So it's going to be 24 to 4, right? So that's 5 to 1, right? And this is just looking at this guy being the lead unit. He can check here and he can check here. So he's going to, obviously, when it comes to, what did we say, multiple attacks, So if there's multiple attacks, basically then conduct one attack check for this lead unit only against the target with the highest rounded ratio. So this is the attack check we're going to do, which is 5-1 odds, right? And then, well, we don't even, that's a given, isn't it? So we conduct attack check. Once the situational strength ratio is calculated, use it to determine if the attack occurs. If equal to or greater than 3-1, or if all defending units are isolated, regardless of ratio, conduct the attack. So we're attacking this guy here, right? Yeah, okay. Well, I'm just going to mark him just now, just in case I get. No, it's not. That's fine. Right. Okay. So we're going to attack there. Okay. Let's do it. What do we do now then? We move on to 10 something, do we? Okay, so that's a successful attack check, and we conduct the attack right away. Yeah, resolve the combat in the following sequence. Add active Soviet reserve units, right. Skip if the attack is overwhelming. Well, we had 5-1 odds, didn't we? So I don't think that counts. 12.38. All defending units are unsupplied or dispersed, and the attack has odds of 5-1. The attack has odds of 6-1 or greater and qualifies as a large attack. Well, that might have come into it. Well, no, because no, Grant, stop. Yeah, I made this mistake before. I remember that. It's only going to be an overwhelming attack if we can do it before bringing the reserves in. That's why I was saying we would skip this if it was overwhelming. So in actual fact, we've only got 14. We've got 14 to 3. We need to count this now. I'm going to get rid of that cube. I know what I'm doing here. Yeah, right, Grant. So we've got 14 to 3, which is 9, 12, 4, that's 4-1, isn't it? So that's the odds we are starting with just now. 14 to 3. And chit pool wise, he's getting 2 chits. So 2, 4, 5. And we're sitting at 5 chits. So they're the numbers we need to look at if we want to check for an overwhelming attack, and that's not satisfying it. You need to have 8-1 odds, or need to have 6-1 and a large attack, or need to have 5-1 and they're all dispersed or unsupplied. Okay, so we are going to, if there are active units, Soviet reserve units, both add those units to the combat by placing them in valid hexes adjacent to the target 12.2. Okay, so here we go with this now. So in ascending order, we're looking at this guy first, unit 4. We're going to place him. We've checked that it meets all the following requirements, all the hexes. Well, and admittedly, I was checking what these 3 hexes before. I think these will be oh, no. This won't be able to trace reserve supply. Because remember, although you can trace normal supply through that unit, can't trace reserve supply. So it's only going to be these 2 hexes that qualify. Unit on the same front, other than reserve placed in this attack is in or proximate to the hex. Yeah, okay, that's fine. So among qualifying hexes, so we've got these 2 choices. Yeah. And remember, we can't start thinking about these hexes because these are not in reserve supply. Yeah, okay. So among qualifying hexes, prefer a hex in Soviet support if the attack is not already supported. We've got support, that's not a problem. A hex causing surround of the defender. None of them are going to surround them. A hex not across the Dnieper River hex side from the defender. That's not the case. That's a Donetsk River anyway. A hex causing the defender to be flanked. Well, he's already going to be flanked because we're attacking with 3 units, so that doesn't apply. A non-occupied hex, that doesn't apply because they're all occupied. Highest hex number. So, highest hex number is going to be 1602. So it was 1602 or 1502. So 1602. So this guy is going to come in here and join the attack. And then this guy can't come into this hex because he'd be overstacking, but he can go into that hex. So I think that's going to be that, isn't it? It's the only hex he can go into. So yeah, so he's going to come into this hex and join the attack. See, this is the bit I need to remember. Now I'm turning them sideways. I need to remember that these units, although moved, I wonder if the best way, once I've moved things, I should turn them back around. Does that make any kind of sense? I can't remember how I've done it with Ardennes though. I don't want to get mixed up thinking that they've already conducted an attack or anything. I mean, not that I'm likely to at the moment, but if I was to like say, right, I've got to go, then I need to pause and whatever, you know, I might easily forget. So maybe after movement's complete, turn the units back, possibly. We'll see. We'll try that there just now. And this guy's attacking as well, right? Okay, so that's what we've got now. So that was step 1 of the Soviet combat sequence. And what that has done is actually introduced another 10 strength, isn't it? And 1, 2, 3 chip pools. Right, that's not helping me. 11, that's 20, 24 to 3. 24 to 3 as 7, no, 8. Yeah, it's 8. 8 to 1. So now he's moving to 8 to 1, but remember we're past the check of the overwhelming attack. And chip pools are, they're 2, 3 steps. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 chip pools as well. So yeah, this looks grim. So then draw a card and apply combat tactics. Okay, hold on then, because now it's saying skip if the attack is overwhelming. Hey. Well, that's interesting. I don't think that happened in the last game. So that's basically, I mean, now we are overwhelming, aren't we? If the attack is overwhelming, do not add reserve units to the attack. Do not draw a card for the attack, and do not apply the auxiliary card's combat tactic to the attack. If a Soviet attack becomes overwhelming due to the addition of reserve units, very good guys, right? I'm happy now. If a Soviet attack becomes overwhelming due to the addition of reserve units, do not draw a card and do not apply the auxiliary card. If the attack becomes overwhelming due to the card draw, do not apply the auxiliary card. Okay, I like it. Yeah, that wasn't in Ardennes. That's a good addition actually, because I think it had to be overwhelming from the start, and you ignored. So what it's saying there is it overwhelming? No, add some reserves. Is it overwhelming now? Yes, don't draw any combat tactics or play the auxiliary card. If it wasn't overwhelming now, draw a combat tactic. If that then happened to make it overwhelming, don't play the auxiliary card. I like it. Very good. Is that right? If the attack becomes overwhelming due to the card draw, do not apply the auxiliary card. Good. Right, so we're not going to draw a combat tactic here because this is overwhelming. If any of the following applies, the attack has odds of 8 to 1 or greater. Well, let's go 8 to 1. So it's not going to draw a combat tactic. Yeah, and then Yeah, and then obviously, he's not got an auxiliary card anyway, but he wouldn't be playing that either because he's overwhelming. So now we can play a combat tactic. Where's my hand? I don't think we're gonna, but you never know. Yeah, we've got artillery or air power. And assault. Well, assault coordination is not any good. We've got artillery and air power. Oh, and I forgot about their artillery as well. That wouldn't have. That wouldn't have mattered to overwhelming attack stuff, would it? Because it's going to give an extra chip pool because they've got artillery. They're in the barrage zone, and it's turns between turns 1 and 2. I don't think I'm going to play anything. No. Yeah, okay, I think everyone's good. So, these 3 stacks of units are attacking here against the infantry and the clear hex, so, yeah. I'm pretty sure he's in a lot of trouble. He can retreat into here safely though, so he does have a 2 hex retreat that's not going to take step losses on the way, but D4 is going to eliminate him. Right, so the Germans have the Soviets have 8-1 and 9 chip pools, and they just draw 9 chips. So I'll go and get 9 chips, and we'll see the fate of the 587 320 Rouse unit. Okay, all the chits applied. Just thought I'd jump in there. That's a replenished chit, so there was some chits to be shuffled in, but you can see it's well, that's elimination already, isn't it? So yeah, but I do need to draw all the chits. It does say that, doesn't it? It doesn't. Yeah, this link's 12.4, so. Oops. Yeah, it does just say we've got to draw all the chits, so I'll keep going anyway. Okay, there we go. These didn't apply. This was 91 on the front, so it's just short of that. It's the one with 91 and then less than 41. And these were dispersed and supplied on the other side. We got a nasty clear, and then we got a good clear, I suppose. But I think this is going to be annoying because I think we've got A1 hitting him, but I'm guessing the same rule kicks in about the overflow of the hits. I'll find it shortly, I'm sure. Right, so I've got 1, 2, 3, D5 and A1, right? Yeah, I kind of thought that. It's page 35, 12.51, hit total adjustments. I'm just looking at the very last bullet. If all German units defending or combat are eliminated, Soviet hits may be reduced per 12.55. 12.55 on page 37, Soviet attacker hit reduction. The number of hits incurred by the Soviets in a Soviet attack is reduced if all the German units defending in the combat are eliminated and German hits remain unfulfilled. Reduce the number of Soviet hits by the number of unfulfilled German hits. Assume the German units satisfied hits by retreating 2 hexes before losing steps, if retreat was possible. So, yeah, he goes retreat. That satisfies 2 of his losses. Step loss. That satisfies another 2. He's got 1 hit remaining unfulfilled. He's eliminated. He goes in the eliminated units box. And because there's 1 hit unfulfilled, it basically just takes their hit away, so they don't get hit. Jolly good, eh? Where was the combat? Was there, eh? Yeah, okay. Right, okay, so advance after combat. So what we got? We got a unit 1. Right. Can I not just start using... I'm looking at the rulebook here, and I need to start just using the... I want to start using the player aids, but things like that should be easy enough to... Right, into the first that applies. Primary directions and auto advance. That isn't his primary direction, so he is going to advance 1 hex into there. Now, he can, because the unit was eliminated, he's not going to be able to. He's not going to be able to 2 hex advance because every one of the hexes is going from zone of control to zone of control, and there's no path of retreat. Well, this hex is not going from zone of control to zone of control, but he's got too many steps to enter that. So, does it tell us there? No, it doesn't really, does it? Well, hang on. 2 hex advance. First hex enter must be attack hex. If unit didn't cross Donetsk or Dnieper River hex side. No, it didn't. It may advance second hex. Second hex enter maybe any hex adjacent to attacked hex. When deviating from retreat path, and remember, there's no retreat path because the unit was eliminated, so that classes as deviating. Advancing unit can't advance from Zok to Zok and can't cross unbridged Donetsk or Dnieper River hex side. Yeah, so it can't. But interestingly, yeah, however, no, he wouldn't. That'd be another route, I think, back into there. Well, you don't need to look at that, Grant. Right, so he can't do a second hex advance because that's Zok to Zok, that's Zok to Zok, and so is that. Okay, so Unit 4 is next. That is his primary arrow. So, primary direction, unit already advanced. You will advance on a 1 to 6. He's rolled a 9, so he's not going to advance. Unit 5 would be next, the infantry. He's going to advance from 1 to 6. And then I'll shop. That's a 3, so yeah, he is going to advance. He cannot advance the second hex. He's just infantry. And that locks everything up. That's 2 hexes, 2 units already advanced. The hex is fully stacked as well. 6 steps. No restrictions broken there. No restrictions broken. So that's that. That's that done. Right. Let's move on, Grant. An hour and 17 minutes. Who would have thought? Right, okay, so now we're going to attach it, back to attach it, which is 9.4. I've found this on the play raid as well, so I'm going to start, hopefully this will start smoothing things out a little bit. Next unit in line would be Unit 3 then, to check. He is only adjacent to this, so it's 5 against 4. He's going to get a +1 for being adjacent to a supply German unit. Yeah, with no reserves this time, yada yada yada. Yeah, okay. So it's basically 5 against, and we don't include the first guards underneath. Now, if we had, what is it? If we had Assault Coordination as an auxiliary card, then we would include that in this check, but we don't have an auxiliary card. So 5 against 5 is 1-to-1 odds. So if ratio is that just says greater than. I thought it was if it's less than. But I'm just using the play rate here though, so hang on. 9.4, isn't it? Yeah, okay. The player rate shows it as if ratio is greater than 1-to-1 and less than 3-to-1. Well, it's not greater than 1-to-1, it's exactly on 1-to-1, so I think that should be greater than or equal to 1-to-1. I think that's just a wee miss. Because it says in the rule book, if the ratio is at least 1-to-1 and less than 3-to-1, calculate the tactical value. Okay. So can we do the tactical value from the play rate? Or maybe I'll scroll a wee. Oh, no, it doesn't matter. Well, yeah, because it does say greater than or equal to, or it says at least 1-to-1. okay, I put a wee dash under it, so keep myself right. Right, so if ratio is greater than or equal to 1 to 1, less than 3 to 1, tactical value. Right, command value of the card is a 3. 3. Situational strength ratio is 2 to 1. No. If Soviet artillery barrage bonus applies, it does. That's a +1. That's 4. Attack is in Soviet support, it is +1, 5. If only Soviet units have armour, no, they're both armoured. And it's this attack here we're looking at. They're both armoured. If any attacking units are surrounded, they are not. If flanking will apply, or defender will be surrounded and unable to trace supply. If flanking, no, I'm assuming that's if reserves come in. So if flanking will apply, no. If target hex is ooh, it is, isn't it? If target hex is VP greater than or equal to 2, it is. That gives a +1 then. And then there's an or about it being 7 plus, turn 7 plus. That's us up to 6. If all combat tactics and auxiliary card apply, we don't have any. +1 if less than 4 cards in the Soviet draw pile. No, that's not going to apply either. So if tactical value is greater than or equal to 7, we're only at 6. It doesn't seem right, that attack anyway, does it? So, but it was quite close to it, I think, because of the VP hex. Okay, so we skip that. That does not happen. The next unit to check would be unit 7 here. Now he can check here or here, but he's on his own. No reserves, nobody else involved. It's clearly going to be this one he's going to check, because this is going to get a +1 and it starts at a base of 4. This one does not get a +1, he's a 3. So we're going to have 4 to 3. So this time it's greater than 1 to 1. Yeah, so we'd do that. What was it called? Tactical value. Yeah, it's just above 1 to 1. We're 4 to 3. So yeah, we need to do that. So command value again is a 3. +2 situational strength is greater than or equal to 2 to 1. It's not quite. +1 Soviet artillery barrage is a 4. +1 if attack is in Soviet support. Yeah, it's a 5. If only Soviet units have armour. Well, this is infantry against infantry, isn't it? It is. Yeah, so no. If any attacking units are surrounded, no. No. If flanking will apply, no. If target hex is greater than or equal to 2 VP, it's only 1, no. This isn't going to work, is it? No, so we only settled on a 5 there, so that's not going to work either. Last check to make is here. You can only check here. He's on his own again, so it is 1 to 1 situationally. So again, going through the check, he's armoured this time, so maybe. So the cards are 3. Soviet artillery barrage turns it in at 4. Attackers and supports a 5. Only Soviet units have armour, it's a 6. If any attacking units are if any attacking units are surrounded, well they are, because of this advance after combat. This unit is surrounded, so that's a +1, taking it to 7. If flanking will apply, it will not. Target hex is greater than or equal to 2 victory points, no. Full combat attack, yeah. But we are sitting at 7 this time, so if it's 7 or greater, conduct attack per 12. All Soviet units in attack check participate. Yeah, okay, so this is going to attack as well. Right, let's try and use the player aid for this as well then. Add that to reserves, right, no, draw Soviet card and apply it to combat tactics. Well, we're not being overwhelming attack this time anyway. So what we're 3 to 3, so we're 1 to 1 odds. And chip pools we have 1 for the unit, and I'll remember this time that we do have 1 for artillery barrage. So 1-to-1 odds, 2 chip pools. Feels a bit strange this, but yeah, I think it's because he's surrounded that they're. It's probably it's surrounded in his armor. I think that's what gave him the shot of this. But it just shows you. I mean, I wouldn't have took this attack on myself. I don't think. Well, would I? I don't think I would, because I'm not getting enough chip pools. However, they get to just draw a combat tactic. You know, we'd have to play a combat tactic. Anyway, right. So we're at that step to draw a Soviet card and apply its combat tactic. Let's do that then. Right. What do we get? We've got a reuse. We've got salt coordination. So reuse if drawn during combat or applied as combat tactic. Shuffle this card back into the draw pile. Yeah, okay, so we use this and then shuffle it back in. Well, it is going to apply. And assault. Well, let's just double check in case things have changed at all. Yeah, so just as a thought. So assault coordination is going to apply. Now, and then it's going to bring in. So this guy's attacking. We've decided the attack's going to happen. It's going to bring in these 2 6th Army units, which are adjacent. Now, these units, if they hadn't already conducted an attack, would have joined in as well. But, well, if they had not attacked already, they would be doing part of the attack. So we can't include them anyway. So that's an extra 5 strength and an extra 2 more chip pools. So we've got 8 against 3 now. So we up the odds to 2-to-1. 8 against 2, and then 8 against 3, sorry. And then we've got chip pools just to check. 1, 2, 3. 1 for the artillery barrage, 4, and 1 for the salt coordination. So 5 chip pools. Now it's a bit different, isn't it? 2-to-1 odds, but 5 chip pools. The guy's surrounded. You know, he's going to take a step loss on retreat as well. So, yeah, looks much better now, eh? Okay. We can play a card. Well, again, we're like, yeah. This is one where I would use the pull out or bug out or whatever, probably. But I don't have that. I've got artillery or air power. I'm afraid you're on your own, buddy. Okay, so I'm not going to play. So now we're going to draw combat chits. So we're going to draw 5 chits, and yeah, 5 chits at 2-to-1. They have armour. We're in a clear hex. Not looking good again, I don't think. Right, I'll get the 5 chits. That was a rotten last chit. It was a clear hex. That clear chit, that was the last chit I drew. These were the first 2 actually, and then we got flank attack, which he has flanked. And then combat engineers didn't apply, and then clear to finish. One of the bad clears. So, yeah, D2. Yeah, so D2. Now I'm going to shuffle this card back in. Probably should have just done that right away. So it is reused. If drawn during combat, as applied to combat, shuffle it back into draw pile. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of them. I don't like the look at that. Okay, so it is going to be D2. No hits to themselves. Yeah, we're going to be dispersed. Still alive, just though, because we're going to have to lose a step on retreat, aren't we? Yeah, so 2 hits for us to take. So, yeah, it doesn't really matter, does it? Right, our first retreat is across the minor river, which satisfies 1 hit. However, we're still in a zone of control, so we have to take a hit. And then, yeah, that's a bit of an issue actually. I mean, if I retreat in beside this guy, I then make the hex dispersed. Now it doesn't well, it does affect the unit in the fact that you can only retreat 1 hex. I don't think I want that. But it's into the woods, Grant, and 6th Army just activated. No, I think I'll just pull him back to there. I think, and he becomes dispersed, and that satisfies the second hit. Yeah, I just don't think I want him. Mind you, we have the Rouse card. That's true. Yeah, we might well be activating the Rouse card, so why not put him in the woods then? Oh no, I can. Oh no, I'm not allowed to. I'm not allowed to retreat him from there into, because it's in an enemy zone of control, isn't it? Yeah, my priority is a hex not in an enemy zone of control, so from there I cannot retreat to there or there. I have to retreat to there. Yeah, okay. Right, that's fine. Okay. And so advance after combat. Now remember, these guys joined with Assault Coordination. They cannot advance after combat. This guy can. He's going to auto-advance the first hex because it's in his forward direction. And then a second hex, well, that's forward direction. So, yeah, because he retreated twice, didn't he? Yes. Of course he did. Yeah, so I can retreat a second hex and I've got to pick the highest chance of advance. Well, that's an auto advance into there. And Cross River, secondary direction. If advancing second hex, retreat path. Well, that would be in here. So that's an auto advance. I'm just trying to see if any of the other ones might be auto advance, but no, because if there was a secondary direction as well. However, no, into the first that applies, Grant. Yeah, of course. So yeah, VP hex, no, there's none of them. Primary direction, yes, okay. Auto advance, right, okay, yeah. So he does go into here. His second hex advance. Okay, is that everything? I think it is. That was Unit 9. So Unit 7 and 3 didn't. Well, they might have moved, but I adjusted things, didn't I? So it's possible that they might have moved, but I actually don't think they did. Okay, let's see if that's finally done with this impulse then. Yeah, pretty sure that's that. That's our impulse over. I'll tidy up these units. Yeah. Right, an hour and a half to do that. Yeah, well, I do kind of feel like this is going to be lengthier than what the Soviet solo was, to be honest. But yeah, because once it turns around and it's our turn to start doing things, I'm going to have a lot of decisions to make, and once we start getting once we get into turn 4, for instance, and get some reserves going. Okay, well, hopefully things went right. That's the fear is that I'm. Yeah, it was. I think it was okay to go into that, and it makes me feel a bit more comfortable about things. Reading through things as I was going there. I know it's slow to watch, but we all know it's all about getting it right. So yeah, here's hoping. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to leave it there. Get this one watched as well. But hopefully I can now sort of finish off watching part 2 and then get it out there to you. There wasn't anything to talk about, was there? regarding what I came across. I think I talked about a couple of things that I'd seen in it, and then of course I missed this. The unit underneath there had step was from the setup part. That's the last thing I need is like missing mistake. Doing mistakes like that. It's hard enough to like follow the AI. All you needed to do was read the diagram there, Grant. And anyway, okay, right. I'll be back with what is it? Is this part 3? Yeah, it is. Yeah. Okay, well I'll be back with part 4 probably tomorrow sometime. That's me for the night because another early rise in the morning. So okay, right. Cheers, guys.